Welcome into the I-80 Boys College Football Show. As always, I'm Christian Hunt, and that guy right down there is
Chris Vaca. Yeah, Christian, what's up, my man? Really good week of football last weekend. What'd you think of some of those games?
Man, Chris, first of all, Florida State, what a just dumpster fire right now, right? I mean, yeah, I know we talked about it, right? I know they said, "Oh, Norvell, he's not on the hot seat." Well, he sure as shit is now.
Yeah, my thoughts on Florida State, man. I mean, we can talk a little bit about the ACC as a whole because it's not looking good. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Florida State, man. I know that they have a lot of new pieces on that team off of last year's team. They lost a bunch of people to the NFL, Christian, but I'll say this about Mike Norvell. I don't think they'll fire him at all this year. I think if things go bad and it looks bad, I think we got to blow the horn there. It looks bad. 0-2 right now against two ACC teams in Boston College and Georgia Tech. Nothing to those two teams. But I think if he wins 5 or 6 games this year, which kind of looking like a stretch right now for the way Florida State's played, he will be on the hot seat for next year. That's just the way I look at it. I don't think they'll fire him this season, but this is his 5th year. These are his players. This is his team. But they got to figure something out, Christian. It's not just DJ Hughes getting a lot of this blame. It's not just him. He has no time to throw. The running backs can't run the ball. His receivers, when he does throw a good ball, Christian, you saw it, dropping balls. The defense doesn't look like anything of last year's team whatsoever. They can't stop the run to save their life.
No, I agree. I mean, they just and that was the hard part about watching them play Boston College. They look like a team that just could care less. They look like they didn't give a shit.
Yeah, good point. Very good point, man. Yeah, it's tough sledding if you're a Noles fan right now, especially after the season they had last year. To start the year off 0-2 now, it's just not good. I don't know what else to say about it, man. It's just been painful to watch too, by the way.
It was very, very painful to watch. Well, another game we watched on Saturday last week, Clemson and Georgia. Man, it's a good first half. The second half, Georgia beat the brakes off of them.
Yeah. Look, I know I'm not as high on Clemson as you are, Christian, but they got to figure something out offensively, man. I know, and I don't. Dabo's kind of a stooge coming out saying that his offense played fine and great, all this stuff. But I know it's against Georgia's defense. I get that. But boy, dude, they got shut out that second half. They couldn't move the ball. They couldn't throw the ball. They couldn't run the ball with Maffa. I'll tell you what, man. Just a rough go for Clemson, dude. I don't know what that means for the rest of the year. Now, I don't want to say Clemson's out of the ACC title hunt. They're not. But they do play an interesting team this weekend, Christian, in App State. What's your thoughts on that?
Man, well, thank God for Clemson. It's at home. So, yeah, they're lucky that they get this game at home. But App State, make no mistake about it, Chris, they're a very talented team, and we have a conspiracy theory floating around there. Obviously, as a Georgia fan, I am. A loss like this, we talked about it, with Florida State. Could they respond after getting the doors beat off of them? They didn't. Clemson has the same challenge right now against App State. Can they respond after a very disappointing, performance against Georgia, I would say, in that second half? I mean, it was so bad, Dabo Swinney was out here taking his words back the next day. So
yeah, well, he also said the scoreboard doesn't matter before the game, Christian. That might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard a coach say, and I've heard a lot of dumb things.
The scoreboard doesn't matter if you're in like European soccer or some shit where you can tie, but it definitely matters. What the hell are we talking about here?
This is Clemson we're talking about. We're talking about a 2-time national champion in Dabo Swinney, man. I mean, what the hell is going on, dude? What does that tell your team? I mean, that the score doesn't matter? This is a team that should be competing for ACC titles year in and year out, man. I'm a little worried. You speak about Norvell being on the hot seat. Not that I think Dabo's on the hot seat, but man, dude, that can't sit well with Clemson fans last week, dude, with that second half, man. And just his words after the game, too, his press conference was terrible, in my opinion. I don't know about that guy. Are him and Billy Napier related?
They might be cousins down there, They might be some cousins. I mean, good Lord, dude. I mean, yeah, it was pretty rough, I would say, to be a Clemson fan at this point, Chris. But hey, we know that the Clemson reign is it's not over. It's starting to come to an end. They got to figure something out, and they're going to have to definitely make some changes. Oregon and Idaho, Christina, you said this was an outlier of a game. You think Oregon's going to bounce back this upcoming week playing against Boise State?
I do. I know that's hard to say if you did catch any of the Idaho-Oregon game. I mean, Oregon won, 24-14 there. Again, Christian, I brought this up the other day. If you look at the stats of this game, Gabriel threw for 350 yards or 380.
Yeah.
They rushed the ball well, but they couldn't put any points on the board. It was very concerning when you look at the box score, and then you saw the game was, 24-14 at the end of it. My guess, you spoke about it. They play Boise State this weekend, who's, no stranger to playing big Power 4 teams. I like Dan Lanning. Everybody knows my thoughts about Oregon this year. I think they roll in this one. They get their shit together. I think that was some maybe week 1 jitters. I don't know what the hell to call that. It wasn't pretty though, Christian. What was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, they struggled when they got in the red zone. They can move the ball up and down the field all day. You look at the box score, you'd be like, wow, how did they only score 24 points? But they really struggled when they got in the red zone. I thought Idaho did a great job at responding and doing what they needed to do at times in this game. And I think they just caught them flat-footed. They didn't really, maybe they were just looking ahead. I don't know. It was one of those weird games that happens every so often, right?
Yeah.
Notre Dame, Texas A&M, Chris, you predicted it.
I did get that one right. Look, A&M is – I like Mike Elko. I think he's a better coach than Jimbo Fisher. I do. I said that before the season started. I have no questions about their defense, but Connor Weigman, man, really struggled, Christian. That's why I took Notre Dame in this game. I do have some questions, though, and I think you'll agree with me about Riley Leonard throwing the football. I mean, you watched that whole game as I did. He's a tough kid. He's a winner. I love him. But, man, I have some questions going forward about Notre Dame's offense when they do play somebody that's got a better team. You know what I mean? Somebody else that can move the ball and put up some points. This was a low-scoring 90s football game, if you will.
Oh, I agree with you. It was a great game to watch. I mean, it came down kind of to the wire there, and then obviously Notre Dame pulled away late. Texas A&M, man, Connor Weigman, been around forever, been hurt almost every year, and I think A&M, it's time for them to move on. They got to figure something else out.
I agree, 100%.
West Virginia, Penn State, another game Chris correctly called. I'll say this, I picked West Virginia in this one. They did not. They had so many opportunities early in that game to I think make this a much the two things that stand out. They forced a turnover. They were inside of plus territory. The next play, they turn it right back over to Penn State. Then right before half, they score. They kick the ball back off. 2 plays later, Penn State's in the end zone. Those were 2 plays that I would say really, really gave this game away. At that point.
Yeah, you watched the first quarter of that game. It was very sloppy, both teams. Penn State fumbled the ball a couple times. West Virginia handed it right back to them. But I will say this. I've harped on Drew Aller a lot. Christian knows this. He looked really good in this game. He did. I think Penn State, dare we see some wide receiver sightings finally? Julian Fleming didn't catch a ball, by the way, which was crazy. He was their big offseason addition. But a couple of the other guys really stepped up. We know what Nick Singleton is. He's a stud. The defense, to me, looks elite. I was a little disappointed in Garrett Green. I was in this game. I still think he's a decent quarterback, Christian. I know you're a big West Virginia guy. But, man, yeah. Penn State's a good team. This is time. You talk about coaches on a hot seat. I think James Franklin's got something to prove this year. They got to get into the playoffs, Christian. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, they have to figure out a way to make the playoffs. They have to figure out a way to beat an Oregon or beat a Ohio State. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't say beating Michigan's really going to – it's kind of like beating up on someone that can't really fight back. We'll just put it that way. And, they should beat Michigan. Do they even play Michigan this year? Sorry. I don't think they do now that I say that. No,
they don't. They have Ohio State, though, I believe.
That's right. I'm so used to the old schedule and the way it was because they played Michigan, I think, every year. And so, Yep. So, speaking of Michigan, they didn't look all that great. So they're probably going to have their hands full with Texas.
Watched a majority of that game. Very sloppy. The score did not indicate how poorly Michigan actually played in this game. It was very ugly for a couple quarters there. Finally, We'll talk about the Michigan-Texas game here in a minute. But, yeah, I was not impressed with Michigan. The two-quarterback system I don't care for either.
Tennessee beat up on Chattanooga, top 10 FCS school, by the way, as we've come to learn. So good
by the way, don't ever call them Chattanooga Middle School. Boy, I got ate up in the comments for that. I won't make that mistake again. But, yes, Tennessee did exactly what they were supposed to do this weekend.
Chris, do you know what the Chattanooga mascot is?
Is it the Mocs?
It's the Mocs, and you got mocked, son.
Yeah, yes, I did. I got tore apart in the comments. Holy shit. Who knew? Who knew that Chattanooga must be some sort of powerhouse that I don't know about, I guess.
On Kever 21-80, his team, Oklahoma State, took care of business. I think he said he was at that game, so that's pretty dope.
They did. It was a little close for a little while, wasn't it? It was close for a little bit, and then I think they pulled away over SDSU at the end. Or am I wrong about that? I know I
no, it was close, I think, for a little bit. But they, like I said, first game jitters. They did really good.
Oh, they got a big one this week though against Arkansas though.
Yeah, they do. That'll be a good one. It's gonna be a good one. Jack Gleason saying that FSU game was hilarious. Yeah, it was. It was comical.
For you guys, I lost a little bit of money. Thank God the under hit that game, but I was a dumbass. I repeat it again. I was a dumbass and took Florida State in the 16.5 points. I told some of the people here that live with me after that first quarter, I said, wow, I'm going to get ate up on Wednesday for my dumbass pick there. Florida State is a garbage can, dude.
I jokingly told Chris, like, well, what if they lose to Boston College?
Yeah, I know.
Just messing around with him. And he's like, dude, they're not going to. I don't know. And then they fucking did. And it was awkward. Yeah. Chris didn't text me for a little bit after that.
No, I was pissed. Just stupid because I put that shit on air, man. I hit like literally 80% of my picks this weekend, and that was one of them where I was just like, God, Florida State's bad. Man.
Speaking of teams from Florida, how about Florida and Miami?
Somebody needs to come on and praise us, dude, because we took a ton of shit. If you guys haven't checked that video out between Miami and Florida, it was pretty much me and Christian on an island with Miami and a few Miami fans. Miami went out and destroyed Florida this game, and it felt great, Christian. I'm not gonna lie,
dude. It was great. And I remember I before that game was over, I called Chris and I said, we need to go to the comments and we need to rectify this situation right now. We need to rectify it right now. There's a certain person that's missing. We didn't take roll today, but there's a certain person that's missing. But he'll be back. He'll be back, and the first words he'll say is, "We need to fire Billy Napier." And we'll say it again when that person shows back up. That's okay. You guys can go 11-1 at this point.
He might be in a body bag currently, dude. I mean, we don't know. We don't know what happened to him.
The game of the weekend, Vanderbilt and Virginia Tech. Who would have thought? Me and Chris were texting. We were hyped. Vandy almost made me rethink my life decisions at that point.
Dude, how many times? I want to ask you this, Chris. You watched football for a long time like I have, or even some of the people in the chat. I know Zach Gleason watched a ton of football. How many times have you seen like an underdog team? Because they were 14.5-point underdogs in this game. Vandy was. Play with the team for 4 quarters, fight, claw, scrap, have a last-second field goal to win it, and they miss. How many times after that happens does that team usually lose? Like, I swear it's like 99% of the time. You know what I mean?
I was going to say 9 out of 10 times. It's literally, 9 out of 10 times. Yeah.
Yeah. And then look at Vandy
like
coming through in overtime, man.
They almost pissed that game away, but they did what they needed to do. So shout out to Vandy. For Virginia Tech, your season's over.
Yes.
There's always next
year. Yeah. Brett Pry, you are automatically on the hot seat after this game.
Man. Let's take a look. Nebraska took care of business doing their thing against UTEP. Shout out to them, man. Dylan Raiola looked good. 238 yards, a couple touchdowns. Looked really good. Running game looks elite.
Yeah, no, Nebraska did. I said this a bunch. I had a lot of people ask me about this. I thought Nebraska did what they were supposed to do. They kept UTEP under 10, which is what I said, and they scored in the 40. So I was very happy. Obviously, we'll talk about the big game coming up this weekend. But, Raiola looked good. He right now is the best passer the football Nebraska's ever had as a quarterback. He's played 1 game, and I'm not shitting when I say that. That kid is very talented.
You guys play Northwestern this year, Chris?
I don't think so.
Sucks because they only won 13-6 to something called Miami of Ohio. Still looking for a kicker, I hear.
Well, Yeah, you're stuck on the Miami of Ohio. I will say this: Northwestern's got a big one at home this week against Duke, and they're favored.
Really?
Yep.
Have you seen that stadium? You see their new stadium?
I saw something on Facebook, people making fun of it. I'm like, holy shit, dude! This looks like a Class D, like where I'm from, type of stadium, dude. There ain't shit there.
Middle school, and I got to be very liberal when I say this, a middle school soccer stadium.
Yeah, it's not pretty. It's not. Hey, hats off Northwestern, bro. They won 9 games last year. They do actually have a pretty solid defense. They do. I will say that they got all of those pieces back. But yeah,
Northwestern won 9 games last year.
Yeah, they beat Utah in a bowl game too.
Jesus, dude. Yeah, I forgot. I knew they had a great season, but I forgot. Yeah,
they won 1 game the year before. Mm-hmm. We all know who that one team was too. I'm not gonna say it.
Okay. He can't hurt you anymore. He's with the Rams.
Can't hurt me anymore. Yeah, Chris, tell me where he touched you. Yeah, that's about the way I feel about that guy.
I watched this game. Georgia Southern taking on Boise State. Georgia Southern held in that game, man. They just have no defense.
Did that kid for Boise State run for like damn near 300 yards or something like that?
He put up 6 touchdowns.
Jesus
6 touchdowns.
Christ. Yeah, I saw the stat, man. Yeah. No, it'll be interesting to see what Boise State does. Like I said, they're going to get a test this weekend against Oregon for sure.
Let's kind of scroll down here. Auburn beat the brakes off of Alabama A&M. Might be the only time they beat a team from Alabama this year.
Oh,
Peyton Thorne, 322 yards. Behind the hype.
No, I'm never getting on the Peyton Thorne hype train. Never. They play Cal, I think, this weekend. So we'll see what they do against an actual opponent. Now, I'm not saying Cal's any good, but we'll see.
UCLA struggled against Hawaii.
I watched this game, Christian. Sorry to interrupt you. I wanted to let you know that was one of the worst games I've ever watched. Why did you have to watch it, Chris? Because I bet on it. I took Hawaii in the 14 points. That was a boring, ugly game. I don't even that coach that apparently had to tell everybody where UCLA was at on the map. That they don't know what the hell they're doing, dude. They're not a very good team this year. God, they're not.
You know what's even worse? I think they got Bieniemy as the coordinator. It's the coordinator there.
Yeah, it was painful. What's that kid's name? Is it Gabbers? Is the quarterback?
Garbers or
Garbers. Yeah. Woo. Things aren't good in LA.
No, they are not. And there was LSU and USC. That was probably one of the better. That was the best game of the weekend, I think.
I think so too. That was a really good football game. Christian, I want to ask you a question while we're talking about this game. Dawned on me actually this weekend. Are you more impressed with both defenses? I mean, is it both defenses took that drastic of a step forward, or was the offenses just a little behind, or was it both? What's your thoughts there? Because this game was kind of a low scoring, which was really surprising game. You know what I mean? Both teams scored in the 20s. I mean, this game was the over under was set at 67.
I think it's just both defenses took steps forward, man. I mean, I think both these quarterbacks, I mean, Moss and then you had Nussmeier, both of them were hitting, dude. They were constantly
they looked good.
The ball didn't hit the ground that much. I mean, both teams, I feel like were able to kind of pop some big runs and do some stuff in this game. So, I mean, the defense is just, they bent, but they didn't break once it started kind of getting inside a couple points there, man. Or once it started getting, further down the field. So, I mean, hats off to both of them. I knew USC was going to take steps forward on defense because they have talent. I really like their coordinator, D'Anthony Lynn. But LSU to me was the one that, they got a little something there. They can play some defense.
Yeah. No, I thought the same thing. I had to ask you that question because I was shocked after the first quarter. It was 0-0. I was just like, damn. Yeah. I mean, I thought both these offenses, this was going to be like a 40-40, type of game or something like that. But I'll tell you what, if you guys haven't had the chance to watch both these two quarterbacks play, you should. They were, I mean, not only did they throw for a shit ton of yards, but very accurate, completed a shit ton of passes. That was a really good football game to watch.
Now for LSU, it does suck because their running back, Emory, is tore his ACL.
Yep,
So he is
saw
done.
that.
And he was really the only one I thought that really was running the football halfway decent. So
I agree. And if you remember last year, it was Daniels that did all the running. I don't know who they got back there now that's going to have to try to carry that load because, Nussmeier, as good as he is, he's not a runner.
no, sir, he is not. He definitely is not a runner, but that's okay. Like I said, LSU can still crank it up. Brian Kelly can still pound the table and do what he needs to do. And we'll see how it goes. Old 9-win Brian.
Yeah. Yeah, he's lost his first 3 games there, season openers now since he's been at LSU. So
Can't open the season against who are they playing? Like some school from they're playing what, Nichols or somebody like that.
Yeah.
Thank God they're not playing Dimes.
Yeah. Yeah. No shit, dude. But no, good weekend of games though. If you guys didn't watch those, man, some of those were some really, really good games.
We'll get into some of the upcoming games here, Chris. Friday, we got Indiana, Western Illinois. Indiana should take care of business there. This is an undercard right here. These 2 games right here, SMU, BYU. It's going to be a hell of a game, dude.
I don't know what to think of SMU because of the shitty performance of week 0 against something called Nevada, and they about got beat there. SMU, though, if you guys know, this team was predicted 9 wins this year. They're supposed to be really good. Returned a ton of production on both sides. So I'm going to lean at SMU in this game, even though I know BYU is going to tell me, people are going to tell me something different about BYU, but I don't think BYU is that good of a football team. But this game, I think the spread's like 9 points. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Beat the dog shit out of Houston Christian, 59-7. So, I mean, they did what they were supposed to do. I think they had a get-right game there, as it were. So, BYU, like you said, I don't think they're supposed to be very good this year. I would probably lean more SMU in this one, so we'll see. Duke at Northwestern. That's an interesting game to me. That is a very interesting game because of all the points you made about Northwestern last year. They were a 9-win team. They won a bowl game. They shot the moon. They didn't look good in the opener. They did not look good in the opener. But it's Duke, and Duke didn't look good in their opener either against who they were playing. So
no, Malik Murphy, I don't want to say he was terrible in that game, but he didn't look as good as I would have liked him to or whatever. I'm taking Northwestern in this game, Christian.
Okay. Yeah. Home field advantage going to play into that at all?
Yeah, stadium. I do think it helps that they do play at home regardless, but they could play this one on the moon. I'd still take Northwestern in this game. I think their defense is really good, man. Give me the Wildcats, man. Can't believe I'm saying that.
I also probably lean the Wildcats in that one. Your favorite game this weekend, Chris? Michigan at Texas, Texas at Michigan. Let me make sure I clarify that.
Yeah, we did our prediction video. If you guys haven't checked that out, please do. I think this game's going to be, me and Christian are on 2 different things here. I think Texas wins this game, but I think it's really close. I do. I know Michigan played poorly, honestly, in week 1 there against Fresno, but I don't think they showed a lot. They definitely need to get Donovan Edwards the ball, though. He only had 11 carries for 27 yards. I can't believe I'm saying that. And we know the defense's lead. I think this is going to be a slow, grinded out type of game. Texas is going to score some points if Michigan can limit them to field goals. I think Michigan will be in this game for a while, but I know, Christian, you think otherwise.
Yeah, I think Texas is going to wipe the floor with them, dude. I know Michigan's defense is okay. I think it's a pretty good defense, but Texas has played pretty good defenses before, and I think that they'll figure out a way to score. I think on the other side of it, Michigan's offense is pretty anemic, which would probably line up pretty great for Texas's defense. Has a lot of questions on it. So,
yeah, well, we're going to find out here. This is, like I said, me and Christian are kind of 2 different tales of this game. So let us know down in the comments what you think about this game, because I've heard about everything. I've heard Texas is going to roll. I see some people taking Michigan money line out there. So we'll see. It is at Ann Arbor. That'll help. But, Texas' offense is pretty potent. Speaking of a team going out and doing what they were supposed to do this weekend over Colorado State, 52-0.
Oklahoma State taking on Arkansas. That'll be a good one for me, man. Arkansas put up some points. They put up some points. The Bobby Petrino era is back in full swing there.
Oh, boy.
But what do you think about this one, Chris? You think it'll be a high-flying game?
I think some points are going to be scored in this one. Give me Oklahoma State, though. I do think Arkansas has a chance to pull an upset here. I do. They don't have anything to lose this season, man. We know Sam Pittman's been on the hot seat. I just don't think it's going to be enough here, because Oklahoma State is a team that I'm pretty high on, and I think Oklahoma State will get this done, but I expect it to be a close game.
Good. Yeah, I agree. I think I don't know. I wouldn't shock me if Arkansas came through, but Oklahoma State, like I said, they're a capable team. They're ranked number 16 in the country. They got to prove it. So let's see it. Georgia Tech at Syracuse. That's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, it's gonna
right?
be
Georgia Tech kind of riding the high 2-0. We saw the Kyle McCord experiment, and I've written down in the spring. I think Kyle McCord is a good quarterback. I don't think people trash him a lot for the whole Ohio State thing. I think this could be a good game, man.
Yeah, no, I do too. I'm thinking that Syracuse might win this one, dude. I really do. I haven't bet it yet, and I probably will. I think Georgia Tech's favored by 3 right now currently, but I liked what I saw out of him, Christian. He looked really good last week. And you guys got to remember, Kyle McCord, man, lost one football game to Michigan by 6. He put up 24 points. I don't think he's too bad of a quarterback.
Definitely not. Duke can ball, and he showed it last week. Ooh, Iowa State. Now, Iowa State's going to be without one of their top linebackers. Iowa finally figured out a way to put 40 points on the board. Again, it was against a nobody school, Illinois State for that matter. But I don't know, Chris. Ferentz is coming back. You going to trust it?
Give me Iowa State in this one.
Really?
Yep. This game is always close. I'm taking Iowa State money line, I think. But yeah, give me Iowa State here, man. Matt Campbell going to get it right one of these times. Knock off Iowa at home.
I like Iowa in this one. I think Iowa's got their number. I think they're going to dial up enough to win this game anyways.
Okay.
South Carolina at Kentucky. Now, this is going to be an interesting one. South Carolina looked like dog shit in their opener.
Terrible.
I know there was rain delays. There was all this. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care about that. Penn State proved that you can come out of a rain delay and still take care of business.
Absolutely.
Right? Kentucky, Chris, you watched some of them in their game?
Yeah, that one had a ton of rain delays, was pushed way back. I saw a little bit. Brock Vandagriff, your boy, the transfer from Georgia, looked really good. I think Kentucky beats the hell out of South Carolina here. I really do. South Carolina looked terrible in that game against Old Dominion. I got to lean Kentucky here, man.
I agree. Michigan State at Maryland. Didn't you say you watched Michigan State? They didn't look that great either.
Horrible. The what's his name? Aiden Childs, is that his name? The kid from Oregon State, the transfer. Dude, I was so pissed. I lost money on that game, but like honestly though, like the defense looks good. They got some really good players defensively, which is no shock when you're Michigan State. But Childs looked terrible. They look like the receivers were running the wrong route. It was just an ugly game against Florida Atlantic. I'm probably going to lean Maryland here. It wouldn't shock me, though, if this game is really close. I don't know. What's your thoughts on this, Christian? I didn't get to watch a ton of Maryland this weekend.
Every week in college football, there's a team that looks really bad the previous week, and then all of a sudden they wake up and they survive. They do enough to win, and then bam, for Chris, that's Oregon this week. Maybe Michigan State does enough, but I don't know, man. I watched Maryland a little bit. I kind of was flipping through. I saw Maryland play. They look like they were taking care of business too.
Okay.
So I like Maryland in that one. That Maryland, let's go.
All right.
Kind of looking through here. Go ahead. You can say something?
No. I was just looking. Some of these games are ugly. Not a lot of really Power 5 schools or Power 4 against Power 4 schools on this slate.
I will say this about the Florida-Samford game. Not that I'm predicting Samford to beat them.
Come on, man.
Or anything like that. But they are going to start DJ Lagway. Mertz is hurt. So, I mean, he's either going to go off or it might be the end of the Billy Napier experience.
Florida's going to get this game. I could see them, obviously. It's a bounce-back spot. You're playing at the Swamp here. Yeah, we'll talk about Florida a different day. But they got to get this win. I don't see how they don't. The DJ Lagway experiment's going to be crazy, dude. It'll be interesting to see how he plays. It will. He's a good athlete. Hell of a recruit.
If he goes out and balls out and they put up like 60 points or some shit like that, or even if he puts up like 30 some odd points in the first half, I mean, I don't know, man. There's a good chance they might name him the starter. What do you got to lose at this point?
Yeah, no, I'm with you there.
All right. Tennessee taking on NC State at Bank of America in Charlotte, God. As we've been reminded. I'll be honest. If I may say this, Chris, this is the first year that I recall a kickoff game being played in week 2. right? They
No,
normally do that like week one, week 0.
Yeah,
I thought.
no, they do. And we had some comments in there, and I don't know if those people are the smartest people on the planet, but yeah, that was kind of hard to know. And yeah, they don't have a kickoff games week 2. So our apologies there on that. But as far as this game goes, though, I think Tennessee rolls in this one. They're only 7-point favorites in this. I just didn't like what I saw at NC State. I know it was only one game. I get that. I just think Tennessee's going to score some points. I don't know if North Carolina State can keep up. That's just where I'm at with Grayson McCall and that offense, Christian.
Too many questions going into this game. I know Tennessee, they like their chances. Obviously, they pulled Nico, I believe, by halftime. Yeah. I mean, they should roll in this one, I think. So, yeah, give me Tennessee. And it doesn't matter where they play. They could go play it at the Chattanooga Middle School that Chris was talking about. I mean, it would have been okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Vanderbilt taking on Alcorn State. No, they should hopefully win.
Vandy.
It's tickets as low as $2. Oh man, they're giving tickets away.
And then look at the Husker Colorado ticket price.
Yeesh. Nebraska or Colorado at Nebraska here, Chris. We talked about this one a little bit. As the game kicks off, Deion's even kind of like had some good words there for Matt Rule. You buying it? What are your thoughts?
No, I don't buy anything Deion says. He's all show. As far as this game goes, like I said, I think Nebraska rolls, man. And what I mean by rolls is I think they win by 2 touchdowns almost. I've kind of changed my outlook on this game. I think Nebraska will be motivated, fired up to play, man. You're at home. We got something to prove, man. These guys kicked our ass last year. They did in Boulder. There's no other way to put it. We looked sloppy. It was a terrible game. The Jeff Sims experiment there. It was ugly. But this isn't last year's team. We're a totally different team this year. So is Colorado. Unfortunately, Colorado looks like the same exact team I saw last year. No defense. Can't protect your quarterback. Got a ton of weapons on the outside and a lot of athletes. I get all that. But I don't think it's going to be enough, man.
I would say probably one of the other games to talk about here. Boise State taking on Oregon at Oregon. It's a 9 o'clock kickoff. But to me, that's an interesting game. You know, I think just because of how Oregon looked last week, I do expect them to come out and win, I would say. Mm-hmm. But it could get really interesting really quickly for Oregon if they come out flat against Boise State.
Yeah, no, I mean, seeing what Boise did offensively the week prior, yeah, I get it. I don't think it happens. So, man, I tell you what, though, if they do, even if they squeak by in this game, Christian, I got some major concerns about Oregon as far as, well, 2 things: winning the Big Ten title and my future predictions on these guys, man. I'm pretty high on Oregon. So, yeah, I hope this is a get right spot here and better look impressive doing so.
I agree with you, Chris. Yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, you got Mississippi State at Arizona State. I think Arizona State should roll in that one. As crazy as that may sound. USC's taking on Utah State. Yeah, go on now.
Yeah, not going to happen there. USC should roll.
Well, I think, Chris, I mean, we've been going for about 30 minutes. We kind of touched on all the games from last week. We touched on some games from this week and some news and stuff. And I think that, I'm excited. We're going to be back at it on Saturday around 9 o'clock Central Time.
Yeah.
So
absolutely,
be there, be freaking square, because college football doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Absolutely. Yeah. With that being said, I appreciate everybody that came out. Like I said, it was a good show. Yeah, some good games. Not as many good games this weekend, but some definitely some interesting matchups and some top 25 matchups. So I'm excited, man.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see everybody back on Saturday. Stay classy, Sandy.